Hello, today we are going to talk about the function of the digestive organs and to be more specific, the stomach. So, if you haven't watched my videos about the digestive organs of the previous parts, that's the mouth and the esophagus, make sure you watch them so that you can get a better understanding of what we're talking about here. So, today I'm going to talk about the stomach alone, and we're going to start right now. The stomach receives ingested food and liquid from the esophagus and retain them for grinding and mixing with gastric juices. We find that in the stomach, that's where we find the gastric juices. So here is where the food that comes through the esophagus into the mouth. Here is where the mixing with the juices takes place, and we find that the food passes through the esophageal sphincter here, so that to allow the food inside the stomach. So we also find that the main function of the stomach to commence the digestion of carbohydrates and the proteins. Also convert the meal into time and discharge the time into the small intestine. And the time is discharged through the when the pyloric sphincter relaxes and opens. That's when the time is allowed to pass to the small intestine. So we have this is our stomach here. This is the diagram of our stomach. We have the lesser cavita, just from the name and how you can see this, just the cavita. If you compare this cavita and the outer cavita, we find that this one is the lesser cavita and this the greater cavita. So that's how they got their name. This is the greater cavita and this the lesser cavita of the stomach. So, and these are the sphincters. We have the sphincter. Here is the pyloric sphincter that allows the food out of the stomach, and here is the esophageal sphincter that allows the food inside the stomach. Then the stomach has three layers of muscles. We have the outer longitudinal layer, the middle circular layer, and the inner oblique layer. The inner lining of the inner lining consists of four layers: the serosa, the muscularis, the submucosa, and the mucosa. The mucosa is densely packed with gastric glands. Here, the gastric glands we are talking about. The gastric glands. Here is the gastric gland. Then we have the gastric pit right here. Then here the oblique, the oblique layer of the stomach, the circular layer, and the longitudinal layer of the stomach. Then here's the muscularis mucosa of the stomach. So the inner lining consists of the four layers, which we said is the serosa, muscularis, submucosa, and the mucosa. The mucosa is densely packed with gastric glands, which contain cells that produce digestive enzymes. That's the hydrochloric and the mucus. So we find that the cardiac opening from the cardia is the opening from the esophagus into the stomach. Here is the cardia from the esophagus into the stomach. Here, the cardiac sphincter or the esophageal sphincter. Here it is. And the uppermost part of the stomach is known as the fundus. We find that the stomach has three parts: the uppermost part, the middle part, and the lower part. So the upper part is known as the fundus. The fundus adapt to the varying volume of the ingested food by relaxing its muscular wall. Then the largest part of the stomach, that's also the middle layer the middle part of the stomach, is known as the body, and it serves primarily as the reservoir for ingested food and liquids. Then we have the lower part, which is also known as the antrum. It's the lowest part of the stomach. Here are those parts we are talking about. Here's the fundus, the uppermost part. Here's the body, that's the largest part. Then we have the pylorus. And here we have the pyloric sphincter. Just from the pylorus, we have the pyloric sphincter. Then here you have the esophagus, we have the esophageal sphincter or the cardiac sphincter. Those are the parts of the stomach. And the pylorus is the narrowest part of the stomach. Just from the diagram, you can see here's pylorus. It's so narrow compared to the body and the fundus. So it's the outlet from the stomach into the duodenum. It allows food that has already been broken down into time to be when the pyloric sphincter open, the food happens to get out of the stomach and goes into the upper part of the small intestine. That's the jejunum. And we find that if we talk about the blood supply, we find that the branches of the celiac trunk bring arterial blood to the stomach, and blood from the stomach is returned into the venous system through the portal vein. That's all you need to know about the blood supply. Then we have the innervation. We find that the parasympathetic nerve fibers are carried in the vagus. That's the rest and digest. And we have the sympathetic, that's the fight and flight branches of the nerve network called the network. The sympathetic branches from a nerve network called the celiac plexus accompany the arteries of the stomach into the muscularis wall. Then now let's check the stomach contractions. We find that there are three types of motor activity in the stomach, and the first is a small contraction wave of the stomach wall that originate from the upper part of the stomach and slowly moves down over the organ towards the pyloric sphincter. And it starts with here, the upper part of the stomach. If we check this over our diagram, that's where the first contraction starts with the upper part of the stomach, and it goes towards the pyloric sphincter and into the jejunum. And what's the function of this first contraction? It results in the back and forth movement of the gastric content that has a mixing and crushing effect. This enables the formation of the chyme. And here's the second type of contraction. The second type of motor activity is also known as the contracting wave, but it's peristaltic in nature. And what's its function? We find that it serves a pumping mechanism from emptying the content of the gastric antrum into the pyloric sphincter. The antrum, that's the lower part of the stomach, and it enables the emptying into the pyloric sphincter. Then here's last type of contraction of the stomach contraction. The type of gastric motor activity is described as tonic or sustained contraction of the stomach muscles. As food is broken down, the smaller particles flow through the pyloric sphincter. So that's all we have for today's video. If you found it to be helpful, make sure you like and don't forget to subscribe so that anytime I upload my content,